So good afternoon, September the 16th, 2013, CISG113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy. Today is the first class in the semester, and I'm glad you have a group of students already here. This is room RG07. So let's get started. So good afternoon, welcome. I'm the instructor of this GE course, CISG113, Information Security and Privacy. Alright, so welcome here. This is for Year 1 or Year 2 student in general education. I do not necessarily know anything about information security and privacy. GE course is meant to give you the opportunity to learn something from it. An interesting thing about the GE course today is GE is a little bit different from the major courses. So in this GE course, you will have a lot of opportunity to see something that may not be very frequently seen in other courses. All right. So the purpose of it is to make sure you have an opportunity to learn. That is a very important purpose behind GE. Okay, it's a process for you to become a whole person. It's a whole person education process. And learning to learn is quite different from taught to learn in a secondary school. Mostly, a lot of you who finish secondary school are used to being taught to learn something. So whenever you do not know something, you find a teacher, the teacher will teach you how to do something or learn something. But interestingly, in higher education, teaching is not equal to learning. Okay, I can teach you a lot of things, but it does not mean you can learn it. All right. So the purpose of GE, what I see is a little different from major courses. Is we put a lot of emphasis on the learning part. We give you opportunity to try it out on your own, and we teacher will stand by you and help you to get through the learning process. Ironically speaking, taught to learn, although it's still very much in use today, has given us something that tells us it's not very effective in helping students learn to learn. What can we do? Well, in the university setting, the general education is an opportunity for us teacher. We try to play the role of a coach rather than knowledge transmit 100%. So we give you knowledge definitely, the context knowledge of this course. And then we try to coach you in such a way that you will do your learning by doing it, not just listening. So when you come to this classroom, it's quite different from the other classroom. In our classroom, you sit in rows. Okay, teacher will just talk like this. In this classroom, it's a little different. You have to sit in table, round table, in groups. That means you have to get involved in doing something in the process of learning it. All right. And normally, the way to do it in this class is this. Each class will have 1.5 hours. Okay, we divide it into 3 sections in each class. So we have 3 30-minute sections. Okay, I will normally talk in the first 30 minutes. I will not use up talking in 30 minutes time. Normally, I will stop talking at the end of about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, and then in the second section, which is 30 minutes, is your sole time. Okay, your sole time. This is your classroom participations. And you'll see when I'm trying to introduce to you the syllabus in a minute, that each class starting from next week, I expect you to be mobilized individually to come to do some sharing during the second 30 minutes. Each student starting from, say, next week, will be given at most 5 minutes time, at most, because I cannot give you all the time. I try to give 6 students in each class, each have at most 5 minutes, that means total together 30 minutes, an opportunity to share the whole class, what you've learned, okay, before you came to class in the past week. Okay, so when you look at this work environment, it's very interesting. I have given you all the material throughout the 14 weeks. Okay, you can see all the material that I'm supposed to use to help you to learn. Okay? So you can read them, you can study them, and I've given you suggestions and pointers on the specific topic of the week, so that you will select, remember, select, not all of them. You can't have all the time to do all of them. You will select your own peculiar item to investigate. And then you need to produce a pitch. I mean, it's a short talk within at most 5 minutes, or sometime mostly between 1 minute and 3 minutes. And you share with the whole class what you discovered in the past week of your study. Okay? And then as we get into the semester, you will not be the only person doing it. Every time you're given a chance, your learning partner will be doing it together with you, and then your teammate will also be doing it together with you. So it will be very interesting. Now let me show you something. That is on the web. You just pay attention to the white screen there. So the beginning of the semester, you can see this is the basic block of the Moodle environment. So we have the syllabus. We have some rules included the song of this particular class. We have some class participations, which I just mentioned to you. You need to get involved. We have class communications, and then we have some tools. Now, this is the beginning of the first week. You can see the Moodle environment is very much emphasized with two dark columns in front and the back. And the beginning of this week, I've just given you a message today. So you must read my teacher's message at the beginning of each week, so you know some sense about where you're going, okay? And then you also have the necessary reading for that week. When you click on into it, you can see the reading, which is given on this web page. Okay, you can see for this week, the theme is, what is information security? What is information privacy? I've given you some pointer from the web, which you can study. Now, I do not mean you need to study all of them. Not necessarily. It's too time consuming. You need to select some item, or at least one, from each one of this. If I have 2 sections there, at least one from each section. Okay? So if you have a learning partner who will select another set of 2, then 2 of you work together, then you can learn twice as much. Okay? Did you see the meaning of that? And the idea is, on each week, you have a reading list, okay, up to week 13, it's already there. So your job before the beginning of next week, okay, you need to get yourself ready by selecting your study points, material. You study it, you produce a pitch for not more than 5 minutes, get ready for your contributions, okay? So that's what I mean by participations. So you can see that our whole course idea is already given here. We do have the calendar for you to go for. You have readings, you have submissions. What you need to do in the semester, you have 4 major submissions to make. 1, 2, 3, and the last one is learning portfolio. Okay? In week number 4, the first, week number 7, the second, and week number 10, the third, and then week number 13, the last one is the artifacts for learning portfolio. So in this semester, when you read your learning syllabus there, you will understand that we have 3 major homework: learning contract 1, learning contract 2, learning contract 3. And the last homework, considered as a project, is how you put together the work encompassed in the first 3 learning contracts and make it your own profile of learning. So you see the meaning of that. So that is the submission. So when you look at the website again, we do have assessment. Assessment is based on what I just mentioned. You have 3 learning contracts. The first one is 10%, the second one is 10%, the third one is 10%. And when you put together your learning portfolio, it's 20%. Now, when you look at the reading and the collaborative activity that you need to get involved in class, it adds up to 15%. So it's a lot of work, but a lot of joy, okay? And then we do have a midterm exam, 15%, and we do have a final exam, 20%. In the last class, I got a question from my students. They said, I heard from your previous students that although you have a final exam, but you don't really have a final exam, can you tell us a little bit more? Okay, the interesting thing is this. Normally, the 20% you see on the final exam is there. at the request of the student, which I freely allow them to do, could be redistributed to other items of interest, okay? And we still have a final exam, which is actually in the form of self-assessment. That means what? The final exam that the student did in the previous semester actually would not count anything. It's just a self-assessment exercise. The actual score, the 20% here, have actually been redistributed. For example, 4% to learning contract 1, 4% to learning contract 2, 4% to learning contract 3, another 4% to learning portfolio, something like this. But I need you to make your own decisions. I will ask you at the end of the first 4 weeks, okay, whether or not you want a final exam. That means if you don't want it, we're trying to see how we're going to redistribute the score of the 20% there to the other items. You got my idea? Do you understand what I say? Do you understand? Okay, what I'm trying to tell you is, you see there's a final exam item there, taking up 20%, right? Right? Normally, a student will ask me to give them no final exam. That means do not use the 20% there as the basis of the final exam. Okay, when the majority of the student wants it, I'll give them. That means we need to come up with a scheme to redistribute the 20% there to the other items. Okay, do you see the meaning of that? But in the previous semester, we did come back for the final exam, which is actually not an exam, just a self-assessment exercise. Do you see the meaning of that? Self-assessment exercise does not count any score. Just an opportunity for students to see how they did throughout the semester, based on what they have actually done. It's a reflection time. So do you understand the meaning of it? The meaning is the scores have already been redistributed in the past semester, but they come back for the final exam as an exercise of looking back into what they did in the semester. Okay, so do you understand? That is the idea of what we did in past semesters. And I do not see anything bad about this. No student failed so far. This particular exercise helps students learn a lot of things. And that is the idea of GT2, because we emphasize returning the ownership of learning to students. Let them make decisions. Let them participate in the design of the course, given the framework that I provide here. Okay? So if you ask me, say what are we going to do with the learning contract 1, 2, 3? You can see that I just say, you need to do something on learning journals. You need to do something on discussion forum. You need to do something on report and also proposal. But what exactly constitute your learning journal, which is sort of like notes? What exactly constitute your discussion forum, which is very important? Now I need to coach you how to do it, but the content itself are to be determined by you. Okay, so you have to understand the interesting thing about this GT course is you have a say on what content to study, given all the freedoms here. In a major course, normally in what we call a knowledge-intensive course, you do not have this choice. Teacher have to make sure you commit all those knowledge streams. But here is a little bit different, because our emphasis is not so much on the content itself, but the process. Why? We want you to learn rather than talk to learn. Remember that. Okay? When you have the ability to learn, that is the purpose of this GT course. The knowledge you pick up here will be good enough for you to do this learning project. Alright? So in the major courses, a little bit different because we make sure that we teach you in such a way that we finish telling you what is over there. And we're going to test on that. Okay? So that is the difference between them. Okay, but I do believe it's very useful because when I look at the work done by my previous students, which you will have a chance to look at, you can appreciate how much work they have done to put together the learning. Alright? So that is the assessment. Alright? Besides assessment, you have the just now we have the submissions. Okay, you can see here. You can see on week number 4 is the time when you have to submit your learning contract material. Number 1, week number 7, you have to submit the learning contract material for number 2, learning contract number 2, and week number 10, the artifacts for learning contract number 3. The last time you need to submit your work in this course is week number 14, example 13, on the artifacts of learning proposal. So you have to keep in mind these 4 important weeks. I will not collect anything, okay, except on these 4 important weeks. But you got to be responsible for generating the material that you are going to use to submit it during this 4 weeks. Okay? We're a 14-week semester, but we only collect officially material from you on week number 4, week number 7, week number 10, and week number 14. So remember that. That is the only requirement that I'm going to collect something from you. But other than that, it does not mean you do not need to do anything. Okay? So when you look at the learning design here, look at these learning designs. The idea of this GE course with 3 learning contracts, okay, is to make sure that we devote the first learning contract to establish your ability in inquiry-based learning, IBL, inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning means you have to have the ability to ask essential questions, okay? So read all those very important briefs. And here is the coursework item expected from you when you submit the artifacts for this learning contract. Each person has to be responsible for his or her own learning journals. Each pair of learning partners, which you're going to work in pairs, will be responsible for the discussion forum. The 2 of you talk to one another. And then the pair responsible for a report on your learning. And each person must come up with a very simple, very important proposal of what you want to do in the next 3 weeks. Now, it does not mean you must do it, but coming up with a proposal means you actually have made the best use of your learning in the past 3 weeks, that you want to do something the next 3 weeks. Because if you look at the course design here, free learning contract means 9 weeks. Each learning contract occupies 3 weeks. At the end of learning contract number 1, you need to come up with a proposal which indicates your interest of what you want to do in the next 3 weeks. It does not mean you will do this proposal in the next 3 weeks, but you have to come up with this proposal, each person. Okay? And then, the proposal itself will be negotiated in the second learning contract among 2 pairs of students. In the first learning contract, you do it as a pair. You do it on your own. You have a pair partner. He or she does it on her own. And then each one of you produce learning journal. 2 of you produce discussion forum. And then 1 report. And starting in the next period, since 2 of you also have a proposal on your own, the 2 of you will be paired with another pair. They also have 2 proposals on their own. So you have 4 proposals on the table, and you have to select 1 proposal to do in the second learning contract. Okay? Do you see the meaning of that? Do you see the meaning of that? That means what? That means you must come up with ideas based on what you've learned. And so that we say the proposal is very interesting. A proposal is basically some questions, some references, some ideas based on the course content. All right? But don't worry much about it. I'll just give you some idea. But that is inquiry-based learning. So the second learning contract is based on self-regulated learning. Now then, when you start the second learning contract, that is the beginning of the second 3 weeks. You have 4 persons because of 2 pairs, okay? And each person in that table, of that team, should have 1 proposal on the table. So altogether you have 4 proposals. And self-regulated learning means you need to negotiate which proposal to do. Once the proposal has been determined, self-regulated learning means you manage yourself, all of you in that team, to accomplish the goal in that proposal. Okay? Now, how do we define accomplishment? No one knows at this point because we do not know what the proposal wants to write. But normally, it should be a bunch of learning journal again, and two pairs, each pair will have a discussion forum, the four of you in that team does discussion forum, and the four of you will collegially together collaborate in writing a report. Okay, this is the artifacts. How do you get 4 persons in a team to write a report together? Well, have you done writing project in English classes when more than one person is getting involved in writing? That is something similar. Okay, that is something similar. You have to write the report based on the contributions of 4 persons in your team, and that is through its time. Self-regulated learning means we do not all the time we want. We have to pinpoint the goals we want to accomplish and manage the time of each person in that team to do something together. Now, we may not have all the time facing each other in that table like this, but at least we're 2 times each week, each class with 1 time. But we do have the middle environment when we can actually asynchronously meet together, writing things together. Okay? Asynchronous means I do not need to be with you at the same time, but we can write on it, and you can see it, you can modify it, and that is what we call a wiki. A wiki is exactly the particular tool on the Moodle environment for you as a team to produce that. Okay? Manage your time to accomplish your goal. Saving everybody's energy, using the resources produced by each one of you in the team. Based on that, you produce the artifact of your self-regulated learning. What does it mean? It means I am working hard to earn the grade for my partners, and I'm expecting my partner to work hard to earn the grade for me. And so if I have another pair to do something similar, as long as we have a goal to achieve this grade, for example, A, that means 10% all. How do we make it work? So here you go. You see that I'm going to evaluate you on this basic ability to get your work done. If you want to ask me, what exactly is the core of these cores besides the disciplinary knowledge? 3 words. I want you to demonstrate ability to think. I want you to demonstrate ability to read, particularly your partner's work and the assigned reading. And I want you to demonstrate ability to write clearly your ideas after getting feedback from your partners. And these all will be done here in the Learning Project 22. Okay? So at the end of that, you're ready because you have experience of working together and selecting proposals together. You will have a chance to do problem-based learning. What is meant by problem-based learning? Well, as the name implies, it starts with a problem. Okay? It starts with a problem, but take it easy. We are not giving you all the technical problem you cannot solve. Okay? It's basically based on your learning from inquiry-based learning and your learning from self-regulated learning, the 2 learning contracts. I'm going to suggest that you select a problem, which I will give you also if you do have one on your own, and try to work as a team again. You already have 4 persons in your team, 2 pairs. To solve the problem, to demonstrate your ability to identify issues. Okay, normally, how do we do that? Definitely, you need to go back to individual work of writing journal, negotiating ideas with your learning partner, and writing a report together, and also come up with a possible solution to solve the problem. And in this case, you have a chance to do something like if you think your team is not good enough to solve the problem. I'm counting the figures here. we have just enough people here to do an in-13 collaborations. That means if you want to say, I want the whole class, all the members work together to obtain an A grade in this learning project number 3. Let's set this as a goal. And how are we going to contribute to that? So it's a very interesting way when you look at the important things here, when I try to give it to you, particularly when I'm going to show you in a minute, what is meant by, can I see each one of you actively doing something to achieve that grade? And how do you identify the issue which you do not know? How can you tell me as an instructor something that is already known? And how much time you're going to see which problem you're going to solve. And it comes from your proposal again. Okay? So, of course, in this first class, I can't tell you any more than that, but this is a very interesting challenge. So at the end of that, you have something come up like this. This is the first learning contract, IBL. This is the second learning contract. And at the end of the first 2 learning contracts, you should come up with something concrete your whole team would like to do. So I send you to self-directed learning to accomplish that. And when the 3 things add together, that is your team-based problem-solving learning project. Now look at that. We start out from you as an individual. We invite you to work with one partner in the first learning contract. So the first learning contract is considered as a pair work. In the second learning contract, we invite one pair to join with another pair as a team. So in that team, we have 2 pairs to accomplish the second learning contract. So at the end of the first and the second learning contract, you already have individual work experience, pair work experience, and teamwork experience. And after that, what you need to do is to oppose something which is coming from the 4th person, okay, in your team, to identify that as you go to extend learning. I'm giving you a hint. What does it mean? If you continue to work on the problem, which is the project proposal selected in the second learning contract, in the third learning contract, it's just the continuations of that problem, but you have a choice. If you want to continue that problem as an STL problem in your third learning contract as a team, go ahead because it's your team's problem. If you choose to work across another team, that means get another team to join, you instead of 4 persons, you have 8 persons, then you have to negotiate which team's project to continue. Because each team has a project already in the second learning contract. Right? When the 2 teams comes together, you need to negotiate which ones to do, or you come up with something which is the combination of the 2. So that is an interesting thing. I think we have just enough person in this class to do it. So at the end of the 3 learning contract, each of you need to take something out of the 3 learning contract and put it in your own personal profile and use that as the basis of your learning in the semester. And that is what we call integrative learning on an individual basis. And what does it mean? You are supposed to put together the accomplishment in a 3 learning contract and take it out and put it in your personal profile and record this your learning portfolio. It could be your PowerPoint produced, it could be your writing produced, it could be a presentation you produce, it could be meetings you hold, it could be a digital story you use, voice over PPT, okay? It could be combinations of all of these. And that is your individual learning based on the learning journal, the contribution in the discussion forum, the writing and collaborative wiki, and then put them together as a PowerPoint, and then put them together as your personal report. Now remember, when you look at the assessment in the syllabus, how many percent? 20%. Each of the learning content is just 10%. That means you have learned all you can in a free learning contract. Each one of these only give you 10%. You put them together, reshape it, and you got 20%. That is your learning portfolio. So look at that. The design is something like that. And when you look at the timeline, starting from this week, you can also include it. The first learning contract starts from next week for 3 weeks. The second learning contract, another 3 weeks. The third learning contract, another 3 weeks. So a 9-week cycle for you to get prepared to earn 20% in the last 3 weeks. Okay? Very important. We need that is incremental learning. You do it incrementally. So how do we do that? Again, I give you all you can as a teacher. Look at the resources of the web. You select the material. You identify the material, a topic of interest of your own. That becomes your proposal. And when each one of you do that, on each stage of learning, you have to negotiate with your public to see if they're willing to go with your proposal or you go with their proposal. And when you have set a proposal to do, you need to dedicate yourself to getting done. Now it's you who tell me what to do, rather than as a teacher, I dictate what you need to do. Okay? So it's very interesting. And the training you will receive after this important practice is you should be able to feel comfortable with reading material on a particular subject, selecting material on a particular subject, writing necessary material on a particular subject, negotiating material on a particular subject. Okay? All of these are very important skills and knowledge in today's digital era. And in this particular course, when you look at the syllabus very carefully on page number 3, okay, when you flip the syllabus on page number 3, when you look at the first learning contract, we say we have 4 topics we want you to get over, and better say to get involved. And the last item is information literacy and competency. That is a very, very important skill in today's world. And the only way to acquire it is not by listening, but by going through a process that I just eliminate for you in the free learning contract. You have a chance to do it over and over again. But in this semester, only 3 times. 3 learning contracts. Okay? But it very much depends on the topic of interest, or better say, your proposal. Proposal is very important. So we have just gone through the learning design. So let me give you the learning practice sections. If you look at the syllabus here, I have given you the suggestions for the textbook. Okay? The textbook is this one. Okay? Every semester, I highly recommend my students to acquire this textbook unless the bookstore does not have enough stock of it. But even that is the case, you can always go to the library, the second floor. In the textbook section, they have this book there. You can take this out and make a photocopy of the individual chapter of interest. Okay? The learning design sections, learning practice sections here, is basically designed based on this textbook. That means if you're not comfortable enough with the materials I give you, which is mostly from the web, you still can use this learning practice sections and tailor back to the free learning contracts. The specific stuff you can learn from this textbook. For example, this is the learning practice for learning contract 1. You can see that based on this textbook, for the first learning contract, you can study the first chapter, second, and third chapter in this sequence. You will definitely got enough knowledge there. Now, the interesting thing about this, I spent time doing this, but you have to read the textbook so as to appreciate it. Sometimes you find extremely hard to read a textbook written by a technical expert. So we need guidelines. So when you read each one of these, learn the basic. Is basically the guidelines I provide you on reading each chapter, including the learning objective, the chapter overview, the basic questions, which could well become your proposal, okay? Well become your proposal. And then I do have something very interesting When you read the chapter, you must have the chapter outline. When you look at this chapter outline, by itself is an essay. When the 4 of you or 2 of you or even 8 of you come together to write a report, you do need an outline what we are going to write. Okay? So by reading the outline, you know from which chapter of this book you can get what kind of information. So if once your proposal has been determined, you can easily go through the outline and look at the suitable sections of the chapter. And then you can get information directly from that. And you also got very important citations of it. So look at these things very carefully. Okay? So this is another way to help you to learn from a textbook. So when you look at this website, a lot of the materials I use are from the web. But I also designed this learn and practice section so that when you go buy a textbook, you also have another path to do the work. So it's the best of the 2 worlds for you. The only key is, are you willing to spend some time? Now, how much time is enough? Here we go. So when you look at the time of management, okay, I mean, you need to spend from 4 to 6 hours per week as a student on this course. This is the best, 6 hours is the best, 4 is the minimum. So when you spend 6 hours per week, when you divide your work with the time, I suggest you spend at least 1 hour per week reading. That means looking through the week's reading. Remember, you cannot do all of this reading using 1 hour. Select the topic. You need to write your journal. This is a type of note-taking based on what you have read using the Moodle environment. You need to get your partner involved to share what you discover. Okay? So another 1 hour. And later on in learning concept number 2, you start to write together using Wiki, another 1 hour. And then you also need to get ready to report for submissions, 1 hour per week, you have 3 weeks, that means it's 3 hours work. And you need to have 1 hour per week for face-to-face meeting with your learning partner and with your teammates. Now you have some time to meet already because in class, I will often give you, as I said, 3 different sections on 3 different 30 minutes sections. You can do something on the last sections. So this is the time management I suggest. Okay? So does it mean that if I spend 1 hour tonight, it will be good enough for the whole week? If I were you, I would say not. You have to feel your way. For example, if I'm going to study the reading this week, I need at least 5 minutes to skim through the topic, and then I say, maybe this is my topic, I select it. So I spent 5 minutes already. So out of 1 hour and 60 minutes, I have 55 minutes left. I will just mark it down what time I use to do that. It's very important that you become incompetent on your time when you do a course study, because you have different courses to do. And in this G course, as I said, I very much emphasize on you are conscious of when you are going to spend time to do what. So if you have a record of doing that, it could help you to come back and do it much better the next time. And you look at the number of weeks we have altogether 9 weeks intensive training for you. So in this 9 weeks time, you are supposed to practice this revisions, adjustment, almost several times a week. So keeping a good record of your work is very important. I think I can do something for you next week. I will set up a table for you to fill in, just for your own sake. You don't need to explain this to me. But if you know how to do it, it's one of the very important academic skills to be acquired by freshmen in the very first semester of your college year. Right now is your first semester. So my job here as a teacher is to show you this. You have to understand that. It's how to manage yourself. And when I tell you something like this, it's already self-regulated learning. Okay? So make sure you understand those very important things about time management. And other things that I would like you to do, as you can see here, I've given you all these wonderful calculations already, all right? So I'm going to go to 1, 2, 3, and how can you work out the time? It's very important to say 6 or 10 minutes each per day. Wow, it's very interesting. You have 10 minutes not, if you have 6, that's not your 1 hour. So that means if I'm going to do 1 hour reading this week, I'm going to do it 6 times, each time I do 10 minutes. Or if I'm going to do 5 minutes reading per time slot, I'm going to do it 12 times this week to make 1 hour. Do you see the meaning of that? I can spend 1 hour doing it, but it may not be effective. But if I do it this way, let me just do 12 times reading. Each time I say 5 minutes. And I'm going to use that as my practice to see if I can work this out as what the teacher said. Identify a topic, look at information about that topic, write down my journal. Now when you switch to writing a journal, it will be another 1 hour, remember that. I say 1 hour writing journal, 1 hour reading, right? So you have another 5 minutes writing in between the time, in between conversations, as you can see, when you have lunch, what the people are doing, the typing on the keyboard. Exactly like this, I've been through those days. But working things this way helps you to be efficient, very time sensitive, how you can manage your time. Okay, this is just a suggestion. I think it's very useful. And then you have classroom participation, as I mentioned. I'm going to invite each one of you to spend not more than 5 minutes to share your discovery. So you did all the good work last week using the method I told you, and you come up with your learning journal already, and you have a lot to share about this topic. So it will be a good time for you to share during the classroom participation period. 30 minutes each time. So you can sign it up, or I can randomly select who is going to do it, right? And later on, not just one person, your peer, later on your team to do it. As you can read from here. Very important, read this. Okay? Based on the module, based on the topics. So study the course website, the syllabus. We're going to have exciting time together. Classroom management, as I told you, each 1.5 hour divided into 3 sections. I will do speaking or reading the first section. You will do sharing in the second section. And we do housekeeping and discussions in the last sections. That means you cannot just come here unprepared. If you come here unprepared, I can guarantee you, you will not learn much. You learn to be prepared, okay? And whatever you have prepared, come and tell the whole class. That's very important. This is a practice to cultivate your habit of learning, thinking, writing, and reading. And when that is mastered, whatever subject you're going to study in your college year, the same way, okay? So finally, classroom communication is also very important, but it's not here. But anyway, right here it is, you can see that. It's what we call it classroom communications. I highly encourage my students that whenever you have some confusions about what you need to do in this course, you need to come to me, talk with me. Or during class time, because we're at the third hour to do that, or the best is to come to my office and tell me what your concern is. Because if you do not tell me, and I do not know how to help you, it's going to be difficult, okay? So you have to come to tell me what you think. Or you can, 2 of you come to me, because normally you have a pair, okay? And let's see what we can do whenever you have difficulty. I have this experience in the past semester on pairs of students because of other workloads actually procrastinate the work until 1 or 2 days before the deadline. Okay? So normally that will be the time when they become very anxious, because if they did not turn in anything, they are going to lose the grade. But if they turn in something that is going to be very low quality, and they don't want to turn it in, they want to really give them some more time. And so normally I will tell them how much this learning contract will wait, okay? And if they sacrifice this, what they can do the next learning contract to do it. That's why in the very beginning of the semester, so 10% per learning contract. But when you come to the learning portfolio, put together things, it's 20%. So that means the design of these assessment by itself is taking that part into account. But still, some graceful period, I can allow a student at most 3 days after the deadline to submit the work. at most 3 days. But this is not encouraged because 3 days is already into the next learning contract. Okay, as you can see, the learning is paid out like that. So you have to be very cooperative in your team and in your peer partner. So if you perceive there is any danger for you not being able to do that, and come up with some suggestion. Come to me early, not just 1 or 2 days before the deadline, at least 2 weeks before the deadline. Okay, when you see that, or at least 1 week, and give me good reasons for that. And my approach is, I will not say no. I'm trying to point this out to you. When I say yes to your delay, that means you also have to be responsible for the overlap of the work. Because if I let you turn in your work later, you still have to do the next stage of work at the same time. So it will not be good for you to overlap too much. Now, how can we solve the problem? Remember I say, it's you who's going to propose to me what to do at the very beginning. Remember that. It's not I who tell you what to do. So when you do the proposal itself, put the time frame into your consideration very carefully. Okay? If you have any doubt, because you just have 3 weeks each time, put it into your consideration very carefully. What can you achieve based on the teacher's requirement? Okay? So this is the reasons why we need to stick to the requirement is because I want to see your progress in your work. This is a 14-week semester with 9 weeks progressive learning, with the last 3 weeks as a summary of your previous 9 weeks in your learning portfolio, right? So that is the idea of it. So let's come back to this. This is the Moodle environment. For example, I've just given you a walkthrough of day number 1, okay? Day number 1. On first day, we're going to walk you through some of the topics which is concerned with information security and privacy. And if you look at the this area, I have tools for you to keep track of your learning. Okay? This is the teacher's message I sent out today concerning the gender education background at the University of Macau. This is the idea of how you can get the most of our study. You watch it. These are the video. This is the online learning journal you need to accomplish after you've heard my lecture, reading the syllabus. If you have anything you want to keep track of, use this journal. Click into it, type something in, submit it, you got it. That is the online learning journal, just like a notebook. When you have something to add, go back and type again and save. Everything is just that simple. Okay? And then this is the public discussion forum for the whole class to use. So if you have anything you want to share with the whole class, you type anything here, share with a friend, topic. Everyone in this class could respond. And this is the survey on the first day of class. I hope you finish it by the end of this week. It give me some sense about your background, why you choose this course, where you fall. Are you a full-time student? Are you doing things part-time? Very simple questions, but remember, each one of you have just one chance to do it, okay? Now, before we end today's class, okay, that means end my speaking, I want you to watch a very simple episode from YouTube. This is just my approach to help you understand learning, okay?
Woke up this morning, I suddenly realized we're all in this together. I started smiling, 'cause you were smiling, and we're all in this together. I'm made of atoms, you're made of atoms, and we're all in this together. And long division just doesn't matter, 'cause we're all in this together. Yeah. I saw you walking
Okay, when you have finished watching this episode, you understand a little bit about the philosophy of the general education course. As a teacher in this modern day, we just do not want to dictate what you have to learn. We often would like to ask you, what do you want to learn first? And then in the process of helping you to learn what you want to learn, you see the number of items there. You need to evaluate, you need to think, you need to innovate, you need to analyze, to come up with something wrong. And in the process of doing that, you will discover that you have developed your ability to learn. Okay? So I would like to take a break here. In the process of doing this break, since we have 30 more minutes left, I would like to see if I could have any feedback from you by inviting you to do something directly on your table. Let me give you some pieces of paper. I've given you some pieces of white paper, right? Okay? So I would like you to do something like this. This is the whole piece of paper. Okay? So you can throw it like this, halfway. Okay? And then you throw it again like this. Very simple. Okay? Very simple. So one A4 paper, you turn it into 4 A5 pieces. Okay? This is called an A5, yes, right? So you have 4 on this side, 4 on the other side. Okay? Right. You got something like this, everybody, right? So assume you got a pen. So you look at the paper like this now and choose the first, which is on the left-hand side upper. Okay, the first one. You try to put in this particular space a picture. Okay, each one of you on your home, okay? A picture which describes your best learning experience. One picture which describes the best learning experience. Okay? Draw a picture which will make you recall your best learning experience. You have 5 minutes to do that. Best learning experience. Do you remember a time, maybe during your childhood, that you enjoy learning so much that you want to draw this and tell people? Five minutes to do it. Well, as my students are drawing the pictures to describe the best possible learning experience, I would like to stop my video recording here and go back to see what can I do to help them to understand the meaning behind this activity. So that's it for today on this recording on the first day of class, CISG113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy, on September the 16th, 2013. Stay tuned until this coming first day in the second class.